Welcome to the Gladden Longevity Podcast with Dr. Jeffrey Gladden, where our passion is helping you to become an age hacker. On this show, we want to help you optimize your life energy, longevity, health, and human performance with impactful and actionable information by answering 4 questions. How good can we be? How do we make 100 the new 30? How do we live well beyond 120? And how do we live young for a lifetime? Now, here's today's episode of the Gladden Longevity Podcast.
I'm your host, Dr. Jeffrey Gladden, and today I'm going to be interviewing a couple of people that I met in the course of being a part of a documentary that they're filming on biohacking. You're going to meet Tereza and Anthony Hakobyan-Lolli. They have very fascinating backgrounds. She's from Armenia. She moved over here 16 years ago, didn't speak the language. They've done all kinds of amazing things together. He grew up in a more traditional American family, but has become a real estate tycoon. And they both have such a passion for health, biohacking, and longevity that I think you're going to love this podcast as we go into many different things. And I think you're going to love learning about this documentary that will be released later this year. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I did.
This episode of the Gladden Longevity Podcast is brought to you by the new molecular hydrogen formulas of Chill and Energy.
Yeah, Chill and Energy were a couple of things that I learned about through NES Health. And we discovered that when you combine their infoceutical with hydrogen, you actually get an expanded effect from what you would just using it by itself. So we were very excited to work through the ability to actually infuse, if you will, or imprint the hydrogen tablet with the information related to chill and to energy.
You can hear more about the physics of how this formulation came about if you go to the interview that we did with Harry Massey on episode 191.
You know, when we were trying this in the office, we gave it to some willing clients and also willing staff. And we heard repeatedly how much the chill actually worked for them. If they were kind of anxious or feeling upset about something, if they dropped the hydrogen in the water and let it dissolve and drank it, not only did they get the benefits of hydrogen, which is kind of energizing in a way of making your brain kind of wake back up, but they also felt very calm and relaxed. And so we were very excited to bring it forward. And when we started using H2 Energy and combining those two together, we found a really nice energy boost before we went to go work out or do a mountain bike ride or go for a run or any of these things. And so this is the first 2 of a family of hydrogen products, I'll say augmented or advanced hydrogen products that we're bringing forward. So these are really the most advanced hydrogen products, I think, on the planet.
I love taking an H2 Chill right before I hop in the sauna and an H2 Energy either before I do a podcast with you or afterwards because my brain is pretty tired. Get 10% off your order of H2 Chill and H2 Energy when you use the code podcast10 at GladdenLongevityShop.com. That's podcast10 at checkout when you visit GladdenLongevityShop.com.
Gladden Longevity Molecular H2, Chill and Energy. It's an upgrade to your hydrogen toolkit. Welcome, everybody, to the Gladden Longevity Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jeffrey Gladden, and I'm here today with a couple of actually very special guests. These are people that are doing something amazing in the biohacking space. They're actually producing a feature-length movie on biohacking. I don't think we've ever had anybody on the show that's actually been producing media like this. So we're super excited to welcome Tereza and Anthony Hakobyan-Lolli. So, guys, welcome to the Gladden Longevity Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
Exciting times, right. So I had a chance to meet you maybe a couple of months ago and then had an opportunity to actually appear in your documentary. But I'm really curious to know kind of a little bit more for the audience's sake, what your journeys have been towards this, wanting to bring biohacking to the forefront. So I know, Tereza, maybe we'll start with you. I know you have a really interesting background being born in Armenia, I believe it is, and being a ping pong champion at age 7. I don't know if you still play today, but that's pretty impressive.
I do, actually, yes. I love ping pong, and And through our biohacking journey, we actually discovered that ping pong is the best sport that helps develop the brain at the fastest speed.
Yeah.
So, I definitely enjoyed my childhood. And when I look back, I was a young, mini biohacker back then because I was grounding all day, every day when we could, when it wasn't freezing cold. We lived in in a cold house because we had no electricity, no heat. So we were cold plunging in a way, literally getting used to all the harsh conditions of the weather. We had no air conditioning, none of that, no TV. So I was on day-to-day basis, I was doing these imagination muscle exercises, which is currently called manifestation, visualization, meditation, like all of that was just a part of life. And that was just us being alive. And just even down to, consuming honeycomb for teeth health because we couldn't afford toothpaste and, drinking from the ground and, not like even down to like not really using toilet paper, like we were using fabric. And it was just, like we always complained about it growing up because we were like, this is so old school, you're forcing us to do all of this stuff. It's not cool. And when we came to America, my sister and I, it was 16 years ago, we were so happy to break away from old school life and have shower every day and, all of these things. And turns out all of these modern conveniences actually not so healthy for you.
Yeah.
We never had health issues ever. Like my mom actually raised us through urine therapy. And, I'm not ashamed to say it, but that was the only medicine that you could find for free in, in the time that we were growing up. When Soviet Union collapsed back in 1991, Armenia was one of the countries that went independent and we were on our own. We had like literally limited funds. Like I remember my dad really bringing dry fish to the table as dinner. And so, when all these sicknesses were going around, my mom heard from a Russian radio channel that urine could be self-healing. So she's like, well, I'm going to do that. That's free. So she started giving it to us every morning and we never, ever, ever got sick. And even to this day, like my biological age is young. I'm at 29 right now. My aging pace is at 0.78.
Nice.
In fact, true age, Ryan Smith told me that I belong to the Olympics, the anti-aging Olympics.
Yeah.
So I credit all of that to this kind of upbringing.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's interesting. You kind of had the ideal childhood, even though you didn't realize it at the time, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, interesting. So Anthony, what about you? How did you kind of come into this? I think you had a childhood that had its challenges as well on some level.
It was the opposite. I was standard American diet, cheeseburgers, French fries, fast food, and I was a fat kid. And it continued to grow and develop to eventually 315-pound business guy, so I was 315 pounds no longer than 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
So on my 40th birthday, I'd promised myself I was going to lose weight and that didn't happen. The fit at 40 didn't happen. And so it was multiple interventions by Tereza and the kids. And it wasn't until a pivotal moment where Tereza was fed up and she said, that's it. If you don't change your eating habits, the kids are going to consider you to be fat. And then lo and behold, our daughter, who was like 2.5, said, Dad, you're fat. I don't want you to die. And that is what accelerated. And she kind of put me under the gun and challenged me to lose weight. And being that I'm a business guy and serial entrepreneur, I said, well, I'm only going to lose weight if I have a business attached to it. I said, I'm going to lose weight. And I did. I went and hired a coach. I flew him over to live with me, and then I got the cameras rolling, and I didn't know it was going to turn into what it was going to turn into. I just thought maybe I'd do some transformation stuff, but it turned out to be the biggest, most watched documentary of 2020 during the pandemic. We released it. It was called From Fat Lolli to Six Pack Lolli, and it was watched 95 million times globally. So there was no turning back after that.
Yeah.
And so, but as you know, there's so many different ways to lose weight, so many different
100%.
methods. I had chose bodybuilding, which is not necessarily the healthiest method. And there's a lot of, you eliminate some of the toxins in your life, by getting rid of the soda and the fast foods. And, that certainly helped. but there's other things that you get introduced to that are not necessarily healthy. And so
What were
when
some
I
of
did
those things for you? What were some of the things that you did now that you look back and think were healthy?
well, everything was fine and dandy. I actually had a loose skin surgery after I lost all the weight. So that did something to me in terms of like, getting under the knife for 7 hours and putting your body through such tremendous weight loss and then going through the loose skin surgery. And then like in 9 months, I lost 150 pounds, got a surgery, and then competed in one, like all in 9 months. So that's not necessarily, I don't think.
That's almost impossible, 9 months. I mean, that's phenomenal.
And then I took a little break, and then, Tereza decided to embark in this fitness journey. And then we competed 32 times. So for me, it was 3 years of back-to-back competing. Getting lean and doing peaking and training and dieting. And then I switched coaches like 5-6 times. So every coach has a different methodology. So I went from one coach who was like, keto style, intermittent fasting, to another coach who's like, you're eating 8 meals a day and yes to carbs and heavy duty on the rice. And so there was so many different changes and methods, and it was great to immerse myself. And then Tereza also went through multiple, and they were all good in their own right.
And they all worked. Peaking and showcasing muscle and toning.
Yeah.
And getting rid of the fat and being on such low body fat percentage.
Yeah.
And that was mainly the issue with me, that after competing so many times, I ended up becoming 2-time Bikini Pro championship. And then we filmed everything. We released it on Amazon Prime and Apple TV and Roku. It's called Super Lollies. It's a very inspiring docuseries, and it shows a journey of a couple that includes their family, their children, in working out and living a healthy lifestyle. But, going back to how I grew up, right, and then how I came to America, and I always had this like really healthy mindset. But in America, even someone like me can get lost in the sauce. And I'm saying that in a big way, that I thought I was doing everything right, eating vegetables and fruits, and even, eating Honey Nut Cheerios, for example, because that was whole wheat. Like I was eating whole wheat bread. Lo and behold, whole wheat has been causing me leaky gut all this time, and inflammation and glyphosate uptake and on all these things. And it took me years and years to start really, really, really understanding what is healthy, because the fads are insane. The commercialization in this country is so good. It's so good that it had me blinded. It wasn't until we had our 2 children where, they were just pure clean slates for me to start my artwork. And as I started feeding them something, I really took it seriously. What am I putting on their body? How am I wiping their butt? What shampoo am I using? And I became an ingredient fanatic. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like this Honey Nut Cheerios, I would say that was healthy choice. This thing is horrible for you. And so
let me just interrupt you for a second. I think it's really fascinating that as people start this journey, they can be very well intended. And yet without the proper knowledge, it can go awry, or they can really not get the results that they're after, right? I think that's true for people that are, let's say, trying to lose weight. Maybe they're just using Ozempic as a standalone or tirzepatide or whatever. And it's the misinformation that's out there leads to these dangerous, potentially dangerous things, or people aren't getting what it is they think they're actually getting. They may actually feel good and look better, but they're still not getting what it is they're after. That's why we're so big on the testing piece of it. Let's really see, who somebody is, how they're built, what they should have, where they are, and then kind of go from there. Yeah.
I think, someone such as yourself, you are in real estate, because that's our main business. Is we're real estate developers, right? So when we go into a project, we go to our architect and we say, what's the highest and best use? Right? Like, what's the best use? Should it be commercial? Could it be residential? Could it be mixed use? Like, what's the best bang for our buck? And so we were working with so many different people who were not giving us the highest and best use of our bodies.
Right.
So, with someone such as yourself, with your longevity that's what we were looking for ultimately, was the highest and best use for a long time.
Right.
It wasn't just
focuses on everything too.
That's right.
And it's very hard to find somebody who focuses on on everything at the same time.
That's
And
right.
even in the functional medicine practices and homeopathic, holistic, you name it. And I came across all these, alternative medicine people as we had our children, and our son had silent acid reflux, which everybody's like, oh yeah, everybody has acid reflux. Don't worry about it. But again, for me, it was a clean slate baby. Why would my son have something like this? I grew up so healthy. I ate so healthy. This is impossible. So I discovered this word, functional medicine, and I started Googling, and it threw me into this journey, which I was so lucky to have my husband support my insane journey of $200,000 within a year. And without a guide, without a consultant, I was literally just going to anybody who was alternative, who wasn't covered by insurance. Basically, I was like, "Oh, do you take insurance? No, good. I'm coming to you," because I was like, "This is the people with other mindsets, right?" So the amount of testing that we did, the amount of confusion that added, of course, it was better. It was way better. I discovered a lot of things, and I was able to put my own pieces of the puzzle. But at the end of the day, the puzzle was kind of distorted.
Yes,
it was there. I found MTHFR gene mutations. I found blood type A, blood type O. I found all these different things, maybe methylations, what's good for you, individualized protocols and diets. And for a long time, I stabilized everybody. My hormones were out of whack after competing. I actually went into an early menopause after being on 8% body fat for about 10 months and competing. Early menopause. Hair was falling off, son with acid reflux, daughter had a lymph node that enlarged on her neck. And my husband, he's mentally very strong and pig-headed. But he didn't know that he was also filled with toxins from all the powders and stuff that he was using.
The whey protein.
The whey protein and everything, right? And a lot of carnivore. Like he was just eating steak and meat, chicken and meat. No veggies, none of that.
It's a good way to age yourself. Yeah. High carnivore diets are loaded with methionine, which is an amino acid that accelerates aging. So it's what you're talking about here is really, really interesting, because it's so easy to get swept up in somebody's kind of dogma of what they believe. Right? It's like going to a lot of different churches, right? You're going to hear a little different twist everywhere you go. And so trying to put that together for what works for you, right, becomes the real key. Yeah.
But when we discovered this world of biohacking, and it was almost like a godsend, a manifestation. I don't know what it was. We met this guy. His name is Stephen Klein. He's been in the world independently of us. Like, we didn't even know him for about 10 years, because he had an accident, life-threatening accident. He almost died from it. But then he had to put his body back together, and he did it through biohacking. And it took him about 10 years to, become to an optimized point of life where he's happy with himself. And yet still, during the documentary filming, he discovered new things about his brain functionality and stuff like that. So he's like, oh, I guess my biohacking transformation isn't over yet. But that's another story. So when we met him, he basically was going to start introducing me to some of his connections, some of the people that he knows, just to help out our son and our daughter. And, and as soon as he's like, okay, well, you guys need to meet this one. And he's been a super connector in the industry, just connecting people and just, letting it go, not monetizing, not seeking any other benefits from it. Wow. When we saw a selfless and knowledgeable guy like this, we looked at each other, we're like, we got to roll the cameras. And it's been nonstop ever since we started rolling. We are stopping actually April 9th and 10th, our last filming days. We were originally going to do one documentary, and we said we're going to cover everything about biohacking. This is amazing. This new terminology, this new people. This is a whole bubble that needs to burst into the mainstream. So excited. As we were filming, we recognized there's so much more, and more people got the notice, and they heard that there's a documentary being filmed, and now everybody wanted to be in it. But we actually used very strict protocols on screening our, people that are coming on board. And we had to say no to so many people wanting to be a part of the documentary because, of whatever in the industry that's going around. So long story short, we filmed 6 episodes.
Well, your name was floating around as a must-have.
Okay.
Your reputation within the industry it rings bells. I mean, everyone, unanimously not only loves what you're doing, but you live and breathe it. You had come on my radar, on my algorithm, because months into the documentary, now my algorithm on my phone is just feeding me people.
Right.
And I have that eye. I have a trained eye to kind of look for talent. And then you kept coming on my screen, and I didn't know who was connected to you. And then we talked to the guys at MHI, and then I saw you post a video with upgraded formulas.
With
Barton Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I saw you as your center as a place that's on the longevity athletics, a place that most people get their tests from. So I said,
That's
"Wow,
right.
this guy!" And then we finally meet. So
yeah, no, it was great.
Incredible.
You reached out to me. I mean, I was not aware of your project, and then once I heard about it, I was very excited about it, though, because I think it's really, really cool what you're trying to do. Just so the audience understands, I mean, they're basically interviewing many, many people that are working in what could be called the biohacking space, which spills over into health optimization and longevity and lots of other things related to that, of course. But it's a fascinating project, and they've really done a great job, I think, of curating. When I was there filming, there were other people that were there, and just talking with those people, you've really curated a really nice group of folks that are making interesting contributions to this space. So I think as you're listening to this is going to be a film that you're going to want to take in, quite honestly. So
thank you. And when you look at our experts list and our company list and what we're actually featuring, I think our goal of featuring A to Z on how to biohack yourself, how to optimize yourself, we did that excellently. And when you look back, we didn't leave any stone unturned. We covered almost every single angle. So anyone at any point of their lives can watch these 6 documentaries and get something out of it for themselves. On top of that, we're building an infrastructure, a website, biohackyourself.com, that will have these toolbox. So people who actually get to see your interview, for example, for, however many minutes it is, they want to learn more about you, and they take an interest into you. They'll go to biohackyourself.com. They'll check you out. They'll connect with you.
They'll see the long form interview, because I think we sat down for over an hour. So that was really good content. That, what makes this documentary different is that it's from a father's perspective, a wife's perspective, a mom, a husband's perspective. And I think perspective is everything, and state of mind. And, when you're watching.
I was just going to say, what I love about that, just to interrupt you for a second, is that, many times the people talking about biohacking are coming at it from, we'll call it the health space, but you're actually coming at it from the family space, right? Which is like it's really like the most sacred place to come from. It's like, how do we protect our family? How do we protect our marriage, our children? How do we grow this family? And the way I would frame that is, how do we have a family that lives young for a lifetime, so that we can actually all enjoy each other for years and decades to come, right? So that's a really interesting perspective. It's different than a bunch of biohackers getting together wanting to make a movie. It's really a family making a movie about your journey and about what you found, and then the biohacking too. So it's a very cool perspective. Yeah.
And let me add to that. We actually added the cherry on top. We brought our children, Love and Legend, who've been in the entertainment industry since the day they were born. They're actually trained actors. They've done national commercials and TV and Broadway and all of it. So as we were filming, we're like, well, our kids have the interest in being in front of camera. Like, why don't we bring them, have them interview these experts and really dumb down this concept? Because it's intimidating. Even for us, when we first started, the information is vast, of course, and the sources are vast. But when you put a 5 and a 7-year-old and they understand and they ask real simple questions, it really makes it so easy for the general population to jump on this wagon of self-optimization. Like, you can do it, and our kids now are so proud to become advocates for their alpha generations. They're over there holding a flag and saying, our generation is going to live longer than any other generation. And
Love that.
we're going to help, we're going to help the kids out. Whereas all I'm hearing on Instagram is this is the first time that your child is going to live shorter than you. And we misuse that. And we don't want that to be the narrative.
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't
100%.
have to be that way.
Yeah, 100%. No, it doesn't have to be that way. I think the other beautiful thing about children is that they get right to the point, right? I mean, they get down to the thing that actually matters, right? And it's like, I want dad to be around a long time. I want mom to be around a long time, right? And they get right down to the. And I think a lot of people dance around the big important issues to go after the smaller things, and they kind of go right at the big things, would be my guess. So yeah.
Well, our message to parents are, I know you'll die for your children, but will you live for your children?
Oh, no,
That's the big difference.
Yeah, I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we want to live we don't want to be a burden on our children.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing that happens now. You know, we're in the real estate business, and we're developing a portfolio of real estate to house people that are elderly, you know, where you have these elder care
communities,
retirement communities and stuff. And a lot of these people are 65 and they can't even walk. They're wheelchair bound, you know, atrophy. You know, that's self-input. You could prevent those things.
That's right.
Now,
with good information, though.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are deprived of information, and a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to find out. And, you know, the brainwashing agenda is so strong. And like I said, I was once one of those. Like, I would go to restaurants and eat salads and broccoli and, you know, and think I was doing great, and eat sushi because that was fancy, and oysters. Next thing you know, that could have just killed me with glyphosate and you know, all the pesticides. So I feel like just the misinformation out there and the lack of true information is what's really hurting. But I believe that in this year, 2024, people are so open to learning more and understanding what is really right, what is really wrong. Everything that happened to us as humanity, you know, in the past 3 to 4 years has really opened up a lot of people's eyes. So I think this is the best time to let them know.
Well, on top of that, sickness doesn't discriminate, right? What is it? The Princess of England has cancer.
Yeah,
Kate Middleton. So, I mean, that just tells you, you're thinking that even the elite of the elite, but, you know, people are dying everywhere. So it's either, you know, take responsibility, get the right help, and absorb into the right content, like your podcast.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So, you know, when I give talks, a lot of times I'll talk about the billionaire's dilemma and how billionaires really win the game of wealth, but they lose the game of living young for a lifetime. And it's tragic because in 2022, there were 29 billionaires that died. And in 2023, another 29 died. And on average, they lived on 2022, they lived about 3.5 years longer than the average person. And in 2023, it was about 7 years longer, right? Just the difference in the, you know, small numbers, so to speak. But nonetheless, think about that. People with billions of dollars, at least $1 billion, and they get an extra 7 years, right? But what was the quality of those 7 years, right? They're still aging and going down. And what did they die of? They died of exactly the same things that everybody else does: cancer, heart disease, kidney disease, diabetes, right? Yeah, there was one suicide even. And so depression. So the point is, I think the whole conversation, the whole focus of humanity needs to shift from we are a wealth-based economy into a health-based economy, right? Because if you have health, you have everything, and wealth comes with it, right? But it's this idea of being so focused on wealth that you leverage your health for the sake of building businesses and things. And we've all done it. I've done it, right? But at the end of the day, it's your health that matters. So somehow getting this message into the kids that building this healthy lifestyle and then creating wealth around that to support it becomes kind of an inverted view of what we currently have today, which is like, let's go after the wealth and we'll worry about the health maybe later.
Yeah, we want to lead by example. You know, we don't want to be one of these people like where they say, well, when Johnny becomes a rich millionaire baseball player, he'll buy me that mansion. You have another 45 years or 50 years. You can actually buy yourself a mansion, you know?
Or it's the other way around. Like parents are like, yeah, I'm going to hustle and work so hard so that I can leave this for my children. And on our end, you know, our children just closed on their first real estate investments.
Yeah, we tell our kids very simply, like, hey, by the time we die, if let's say we died 100, I said, you guys are going to be 50. You're going to wait till 50 to inherit what we have? Because then mom and I are going to enjoy our wealth, all the way till the end, till the grave,
Okay.
Listen, literally 2024, as of right now, with all the AI, with all the, internet and everything, it's so available to us. Anthony has a great saying. He says, the kings and the presidents of 100 years ago, they have access.
We have more access than
information,
than Ronald Reagan, than Bill Clinton, just from our phone.
That's right.
More access to information and better healthcare.
Yeah.
But what it is it's a flood of choices. And that's what I got hit with when I first moved to America 16 years ago. I only had $300 in my pocket and I didn't speak the language. But the overwhelming options that are available in this country, from everything, from the type of water you drink, from the way you take the sun in, to what you can wear and not wear, how you wear your makeup, what career to choose. And it's insane. And I think that's another part of this American depression, because it's so much choices, right? So when we live our lives right now in the biohacking way, it eliminates so many choices for us already. The lifestyle that we're living. So we are way happier, more content, doing the right things, doing limited amount of things, and knowing that we made the right choice today. Right. And we didn't have the 100 choices. We had 5 choices, and we made the right choice, and we're so happy and content. It's just it's really deep. Yeah.
It does simplify your life when you really have this greater sense of purpose and this greater sense of what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? I think otherwise people live in this state of comparison all the time. They're always comparing themselves to other people, and there's never any happiness in comparison. So it's really stepping away from comparison and looking at what other people are doing on social media and actually looking at what's going to make my life great and my family's life great, and then focusing on that. And that's really kind of what you're bringing people into, which is a really cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this documentary is anticipated to be the most influential health documentary that's ever been made.
It's already
just based on all the experts that are in the documentary. I mean, the way we pulled everyone together in a cosmic way, where everyone came under one umbrella in love and unity, I'm telling you, this is God's intervention for humanity. And we're translating this through AI, and thank God AI exists at this point of time to help us, at least in our journey. We're going to translate it into over 50 languages immediately and push it out to the world. And we're even now on Instagram, Biohack Yourself documentary. We're pushing out shorts and content because we don't want to wait until the movie is ready this December.
Yeah, we have an awareness campaign that's unlike anyone's ever done before.
Nice.
We have so many incredible thought leaders that are in the documentary. I believe your shorts are coming up next in the next wave. We're releasing these things in waves. There's been such response, but our work now is on Ben Greenfield's page, Dr. Mindy Peltz's page, like all the people, John Asseroff, all the people that are in the film. They've been collaborating and sharing the shorts and the mini micro clips of the scenes that they're in. And it's brought so much awareness and anticipation. There's like this pent up demand.
Yeah.
We had to hire 3 people just to manage the DMs that are in the Instagram, because people are asking questions.
Right.
And people are engaging and they're asking questions to the people that are in the documentary. And it's incredible. We've been able to refer business already to people and help kind of save lives and point people in the right direction.
And after a year of in-depth interviews with some of the leading experts and founders of companies, at the end of the day, when we look back, it's not that difficult, right?
No.
You just take one aspect at a time. Okay. Sun, let's say, right? Sun is one of the best biohacks you can ever do. How do you do sun the best way? What time do you get sun? Do you do sunscreen? Like everything related to sun. We cover this. Okay. The next thing is water, hydration. How do you do water in the perfect, most ideal way in America? And then you do air in the best possible way. How do you do air in the best possible way? So all you do is, you as an individual, not to get overwhelmed, let's say, right? When you watch the documentary, you write what matters to you. You write the top 5 things that really matter to you. And a lot of our experts were so generous with their advice on free biohacks, you know, just things that are completely free and take less than 30 minutes out of your day, but make incredible changes in your well-being and your health and vitality and in the building of community. And one other thing we recognize now that we're in this community of biohackers, what an amazing community you guys have. Like, what an amazing collection of human beings that just want to do good. And it's just completely different breed. I swear, like, I've never met this many people that think similarly in just giving way. Yeah, sure, they have businesses, and sure, they maximize and optimize their businesses. But when you look at the things that they work on, let's say a red light, the guy is hand making it and putting infrareds and really taking care of the integrity of the product. These are the only products that made it into our documentary, the integrity products.
Yeah, the beauty of this is that you have people that are really dedicated to changing the planet, is what I call it. You know, changing, the glide path of aging, as I refer to it, for everybody on the planet, but really wanting to lift the planet into a different set of conversations, right? Rather than conversations about sick care and insurance and nursing homes, it's about how do we actually stay young, live young? How do we help everybody do that? Because ultimately everything rises so much more if that's the case, of course. So it's cool that you've been sort of swept up in that, because I think it takes courage for people to leave traditional medicine to move into that space. And then it takes courage for you to actually adopt it, right? You're stepping outside of what's familiar to you, right? And I applaud you so much for stepping into the unknown and being willing to try all this, because most people aren't. Most people are a little more, I'm just going to sit in my comfort zone, or I'm going to let the lollies figure it out and then tell me what to do, right? Or I'm going to wait till I go see, Glad and Longevity, and they really, unravel the whole knot for me, and then I'll know what to do, whatever it is, right? Whatever their approach is. But I think you guys were willing to kind of step into it, and that's everything. Starting is everything. So cool.
Well, it's all about energy. That's why we felt it was important that we met everyone and interviewed them ourselves. We wanted the audience to be like a fly in the wall. What is it like if you met Dr. Gladden? What's he like in person? We talk about the quantum. We met Bruce Lipton. That really exists, and we felt the energy, especially from you.
Nice.
When we interviewed you, my biggest takeaway was you are the best. All of this stuff, it's like mixed martial arts, like MMA. You need to know what's the best move and there's no move that you can go in. No technique has to be the same, because you don't know what the opponent is.
That's right.
So you're constantly testing. So you may think you're going to wrestle, but maybe it's striking that's going to win the fight. So that's what it is working with you. You're testing and, okay, this is how we're going to approach this particular fight. And this is how we're going to win this round. But this may not apply to the next round.
That's right.
Because we got to see if we tired out the opponent or we got rid of, so that's what we learned, was that all these other professionals are just like boxers, but you can't put a boxer against a wrestler,
right?
And so you need someone that understands all the art forms.
That's it.
And can really arm you not only with defense and what she was talking about, which is, eliminating environmental toxins. Let's start with that. Like, what's your house like? Where are you living? What are you drinking? Like simple things like that. And then you go into the offense of like, how can you aggressively attack and mediate what you have going on? So I think that's the biggest takeaway from interviewing you, is that you are the best of the best in that ability to understand that there's a bio-individuality, right? Everyone's individual biology, and you're basically working with them in an intimate level, and your ultimate goal is to get them to their best, highest and best use.
That's right. No, that's it. Highest and best use, back to your real estate analogy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I want everybody to actually function on their highest plane. And that involves their sense of purpose, their sense of relationship. The goal is 30-year-old mind or 30-year-old body, 300-year-old mind at age 100, right? And so that's really the concept that we're working on, right? And to me, there's a lot of beauty in that, right? If you can have all that equanimity and wisdom and insight, and yet have a 30-year-old body to enjoy life and build your businesses, build your families, whatever it is. Now we're talking. I get excited about that. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Beautiful. Well, guys, it's such a pleasure to chat with you. When is the movie coming out? When do you think it'll be released?
December. It's
Okay.
December of
Like a
this
Christmas
year,
release
and
or something
yes,
like that?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, we're going to release it closer to A4M.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we want to make it convenient for everyone to attend. So there's the A4M event happening
Yeah.
in Vegas, and
Right.
we're going to have a huge launch event there with a
Okay.
grass carpet instead of a red carpet,
Okay.
and a lot of red lights instead of fluorescent lights. So you know,
Nice.
even down to that, you know, we're changing a lot of things
Beautiful.
about how we do things. Yeah.
I love that. Great. Well, I'll look forward to that for sure. That'll be great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. And then where can people learn more about this? You talked a little bit about biohackyourself.com. Is that the best place to go? Or how
Yeah,
should
right now it's actually, the website is under development. We're going to be putting all the materials on there, the mid-form and long-form interviews. Stephen Klein, who's the chief operating officer of Biohack Yourself Enterprises, he's already negotiated some of the best discounts and affiliate marketing relationships with all the products and services that we've interviewed. You know, we met the founders. You know, we put a face to the name, a face to the brand. You know, we met the formulators, and we understood, and we understand the whole process now. And we even met some of the people that wrote the studies, you know, that got approved. And so, you know, all that information is on the website, and everyone's podcasts, including yours, and websites and Instagram. So the goal is, that's where you're going to go. That's going to be the resource it's an homage to the documentary. We also filmed simultaneously a making of and behind the scenes. So at the same time that we were filming, we kind of gave people a sneak peek behind the veil of what it was like making it, and what these people are like off camera, you know, when they're getting their makeup done, and you know, some of the blooper moments and things like that. These are just human beings, you know, changing the world, and just like you and I.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it so much. It's really, really wonderful stuff. Well, thank you again so much for being with us. And
thank you.
You know, we'll basically send this out, but we'll be happy to help promote this too, you know, in the fall and things like that as you're leading up to your release. So it'd be super.
Absolutely.
Fun.
And we'll be paying you a visit too. We have to go down there to your neck of the woods.
Absolutely.
We have a big premiere coming up this month. And then I'll go have our other documentary, The Guru, that's coming out in the 2 weeks. We're going to be at the Sunscreen Film Festival, and so that one's already crushing it in the film festival. I think it's on its 14th award.
Yes.
Okay.
Best Documentary Award, and so we're pretty stoked and excited about that. And so we'll be in the same place with you in December. And everyone,
nice.
So
nice,
yeah. So
well, just
awesome.
mention that to the audience. They might wonder what The Guru is. What is that film about? So that
so The Guru is the biggest and the most star-studded bodybuilding documentary. So there's a guy named George Farah who at one point competed at the Olympia. He's from Lebanon. He was shot. He was a child soldier. He was shot when he came to the United States. Fast forward the hands of time, he became a championship bodybuilder. Then he got cancer. Then he became a champion pro maker. So he's coached and over 150 Mr. Olympia and Arnold Classic champions, like the top of the top. And so,
coach celebrities like
The Rock and other people. And so he asked us to do a documentary about him. He's launching a book. He's launching an app and doing nutrition and stuff like that. And now he wants to coach the masses that want to get fit.
Beautiful.
And so
we actually went and spent a whole week with him.
Yeah.
In his castle in Rochester, and we fell in love with his story. You know, it was something that we had in our radar to create such a story in the bodybuilding field. And Anthony's excellent at inclusion. So we included some of the top level athletes that have worked with George, and it was like the perfect soup that we made. Everybody was just also honored to be featured in George's documentary. So
these 300-pound muscle giants crying on camera. It was incredible.
Oh, that's amazing.
But, you know, just sitting there, you know, I turned and I told Tereza, I said, you know, this was when we filmed it last year. I was like, 3.5 years ago, I was 315 pounds. And now I'm interviewing the guy that I was looking and admiring in terms of, it's just, you would have never imagined, like it's just incredible just to meet these people. And now, we're personal friends with all these athletes. Tereza's always joking around. I'm like, who's that? Oh, that's so-and-so, the big time athlete.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's funny because these are really nice people and they're biohacking now.
Right.
So they're the ones,
athletes are always the first.
Right. They're the
That's
ones,
right.
they were always doing things for recovery. So all of them are doing.
But again, they're only doing one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
There's no guide. There's no tutorial. So, we know some of these people are struggling with certain health issues, but they're doing red light or cold plunge, the basics. So, and they think it's going to, up level them. But, they don't know anything about the biohacking world and what we're now learning.
And so now we're marrying the two. So like at this event, there's a biohacking lounge, right? Because there's going to be 5,000 attendees at the event, of which we think 1,000 are going to come strictly for the guru. And so I'm like, I think you guys should meet each other, like the red light therapy, the cold plunge, the EMF, because these people need guidance.
Also, they have millions of followers.
Yeah.
We add up all of the followership of our star cast. We're at about 35 million followers.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about this kind of influential people who are influencing the athlete in the bodybuilding world, and they're the icons, if they really start doing things the right way, how many lives they could change. So for us, again, inclusion, mixing of the worlds, and getting the word out on fire as soon as possible is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to participate in that. I mean, we've worked with athletes before and had some amazing results. And one of the things that we learned is that many times athletes are actually accelerating the aging process because they're putting themselves through all of these workouts, and either it's heavy lifting, long distance running, whatever it might be. And all that inflammation, they're not giving themselves enough time to recover. There's too much, just like the hormone disruption that occurred for you, Tereza. And so
lactic acid.
Exactly. And so really, exercise is great. Any hormetic stress is great, whether it's sauna, cold plunge, exercise, ozone. But it's only in moderation. And so with athletes, because they're there to win and perform, they overdo it. And so, right. And so being able to bring them back and re-lengthen their telomeres, change their DNA methylation ages, their rates of aging, things like that. Those are all things that we can do. So be super fun to jump in and help with any of those.
I can send you the link if you're interested in coming. It's only in 2 weeks in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yeah. They're awesome at the film festival. It's red carpet.
And gold carpet.
Yeah, it's going to be big. We love it.
Beautiful.
Good people there.
Well, we love the work you're doing. I think the world owes you a big thank you for all that you're doing to help promote this. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
And hopefully we see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Gladden Longevity Podcast. If you would like more information on what we've discussed or other topics, please reference the show notes or go to gladdenlongevitypodcast.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter by searching Gladden Longevity. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to get future episodes delivered to you and share our podcast or this episode with someone in your life that you may find benefit. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode. The Gladden Longevity Podcast is provided for informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The use of any information and materials linked to this podcast is at the listener's own risk.